Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We are grateful to have you with us. I'm going to share some instructions and introductions in a second, but I'm going to give people a few minutes to filter in. We are recording today's presentation, so audio is going to be disabled. For participants, we'll give some instructions about how to submit questions and communicate with us throughout. Okay. Great. Well, it looks like we have quite a few people who filtered in already, so I will go ahead and get started. My name is James Meadours. I'm going to give some accessibility instructions first to make sure that everyone can access them. So you'll see at the bottom of your screen that you have a menu bar with some options to select. There are also instructions in the chat that describe how to access these features. We have American Sign Language interpretation services available for today's presentation. So what you'll do is you go to the bottom, you'll see the interpretation option to click on. You'll click on that and then you'll be able to select American Sign Language, and that should auto-populate a box where you can see our interpreters live throughout the presentation. There are also closed captions available and a transcript of today's presentation available. And you can also access those through your menu bar at the bottom of your screen. And there are further instructions in the chat. Okay, so thank you for everyone for being with us today. These presentations are put on through the Money Follows the Person grant, which is a federal grant that funds programs to serve individuals and professionals working with individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. This program is specifically called the Transition Support Team, and we put on educational opportunities, including webinars like these, to support professionals working with individuals with IDD. So we're excited to have you with us today. I'm going to give a couple more instructions, and then I'll introduce our speakers. So throughout today, as I mentioned, your audio is disabled. So the way that you'll communicate with us if you have a question or you need some help is through the Q&A function at the bottom menu bar of your Zoom screen. So you'll be able to submit any questions throughout, and we will be checking those during the presentation. We'll take questions at the end today. So if you have questions throughout, feel free to submit them and we will get to as many as we can. We also have pre-submitted questions that a lot of you provided during your registration. So we will be going through a lot of those as well. And thank you for submitting those. We appreciate it. One other item is that we do have evaluations, sign-ins and evaluations for today. So there will be two links. One is for our program and it's for everyone. So you can click onto that first link for sign-in. It'll be put in the chat, and that will allow us to track who attended today. And then at the end, there's an evaluation. And again, those are for everyone. So if you want a certificate of completion, but you don't need continuing education units, please still complete that sign-in and evaluation. If you are looking for continuing education credits for your professional license, then you would also complete the second sign-in link and the second evaluation link, and they'll be clearly marked as CEU links so that you know what to do. And please make sure you do that. You will need to remain throughout the entire presentation to receive credit for those CEUs. Okay, thank you, everybody. So without further ado, I'd like to move on to introducing our speakers for today. We're very grateful to have all of the expertise and the information that's going to be shared today with us. Give me 1 second because my screen is having a little bit of an issue and I want to make sure to be able to read off the best information about this. Okay, so for today, our presentation is going to be on Great Expectations, Building a Life of Service and Reward. And we have our wonderful speaker, James Meadours, with us today. And we're very grateful to have him with us. As someone with lived experience and as an advocate for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And I'm going to let James introduce himself a little bit as well. I believe he does in the presentation, so I won't take too much time. James, would you be okay taking it from here?
Yeah, sure. Good
Right.
afternoon. My name is James Meadours. I am from San Antonio, Texas. I've been a long time self-advocate leader, and just recently, the last 4 or 5 years, I've been real active with the sexual assault movement because when I decided to take that path, not many voices is out there to share their experience and how we can teach the system how to support one another when someone gets sexual assault. And also I felt like peer support was missing and talk about peer-to-peer advocacy. And also like my friend Marcy, who introduced herself and tell a little bit about herself.
Thank you, James. My name is Marcy Whiteman, and I also work at Strategic Education Solutions, where James works. I am the self-advocate coordinator. My main role is that I support James in all of the work that he does at SES, but I also provide support to other self-advocates that need or that come along. And I want to let everyone know that James and I have been friends as well as co-workers and colleagues for almost 30 years now. And we have been through a lot together, done a lot of work together, and have really built our friendship over the years. And I will be asking James questions. We're going to do this as a question and answer presentation. So I will ask James questions, and this way he will tell you why he came up with the title Great Expectations for this presentation. I live in Kansas as well. All right. If we're ready to get going, you ready, James?
Yes.
All right. All right, so you started a little bit, James, but will you go just a little bit more into your 35-year career now, how it started and how it's changed over the years? Maybe what are some of your greatest career moments and how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, I got started back in the 80s, like the late 80s in around 1988. I went to the first self-advocacy meeting to change my voting card address from my parents' house to the group home address. And I was living in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the time. And I liked the group so much, we traded phone numbers. Me and my friend Michelle, we lost each other our phone number. And over a year, we bumped each other at the county fair. I don't know how it happened, but we saw each other at the county fair. And she asked me why I'm not coming to the meetings. I tell her that the group home didn't want to take me. And also the bus stopped running at 7 o'clock at the time. I wasn't able to go to different places or different meetings because back then we didn't have Uber or Lyft back then. And with that, Michelle started taking me to the meetings. And during that time, I got more involved in the movement to learn more about my skills, how to become more empowered myself and to help others. I climbed, like anyone in their career, you have to climb a ladder of success. Because a long time ago, I was just, how I could say, was a nobody, but I was a new person of the movement, learning things, tried new things and stuff. But with those 35 years career, I got an opportunity and became the president of my local and state chapter of a self-advocacy group in Oklahoma. I was also being part of the local ARC board. And I know some of the ARCs around Texas is advocacy, and also others are provider ARCs. But the ARC of Tulsa was a unique organization. It's just a peer advocacy group. I was the first person with disabilities to be involved with that. And that was great because I was learning things about how the legislature work, how the senators and public policy work, and also helped me to decide what I want to do in my life, from being more independent to dependent, to be independent, not dependent on people. And with that, over those several years, decades, over 30 something years, decades, over 3 decades, that I did a lot of good work. And I decided to, one of the things changed me in 2004 was that I got a sexual assault by a person that I met in the community, and I decided to put him into jail. And with Joe Shapiro, National Public Radio reporter, he asked me to do a series with him called Abuse but Trade Series, because that changed my life forever. Because as a sexual assault survivor, as a kid and a teenager, I was too ashamed. But when I did the NPR story, that really changed my life. It really helped me to be in purpose what I want to accomplish in my life. Because in my self-advocacy career, we need to get new young leaders in place to take the old timers like myself to be part of the movement. And also have a job I really love. And the last picture is my boss Cynthia and myself. We went to the Astros game, but I wasn't at the Minute Maid Park. I was in Fenway Park because I was we were a speaker in Massachusetts. Of course, I got heckled and bullied around, but I just rubbed it off my shoulder and enjoyed the game. Of course, we won the game, but that's okay because we have fun. We watch the Astros play baseball.
Very nice. Yeah, you've shared a lot. Your career has taken many turns along the way, and you've definitely become a national leader over the years. Will you tell us, James, a little bit more about your family's and others' expectations of you when you were young? I see a picture here when you were young.
Yeah. This picture, I was about 16, 17 years old. That at the time, we just recently moved from Houston, Texas to Oklahoma back in when I was only 16 years old. That because I was a sophomore at the time, because I had 2 more years before graduation. And I did not know what was my plans or what my life would be like. They found a job for me, but I did not understand what kind of job was it. It was a shelter workshop program, taking care of plants. Only work like an hour, 2 hours a day at the place, and also I have to catch the school bus to do that. And people tell my dad and my real mom when she was alive that that's a good place for your son after high school. But no one took the time to ask me what I want in my life, what I want to do after my high school years. During the same time, I lost my mother, who passed away because she got sick. And don't underestimate your loved one. Because if you believe the sons and daughters do this thing and you put that in their head, they cannot try to do dignity at risk to go farther in life. They could dream farther what they want to accomplish. Because that's important, because if we hold people back, They cannot grow or learn from their experience and try new things and challenging new things in their life.
That's wonderful, wonderful advice. You're right, that it helps to not underestimate people, and I think you stated that well. All right, so James, will you tell us now about your appointment to the board of the Ark of Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Sure. Um, my friend Michelle told me they have a board of directors position. We wonder if you want to be on the board of directors. At first, I was a little nervous. I said, I don't know how board directors work, of what they do as a business, because back then I was one of the youngest person to be on the ARC board. I was only like 23, about 23 years old. And I was just a young whippersnapper back then. And I did not know what my role and responsibility. But at the same time, a new director came in, be the executive director, and his name was John. And John and a couple of other people helped me learn more about the public policy side of things, about the waiver, about community-based services, talk about employment, and help those whose voices not been heard before, and how a bill becomes a law, because the only thing I know about how a bill becomes a law was the old cartoon called Schoolhouse Rock. And if you remember that cartoon, because that's the only way I thought about how a bill becomes law. But with more detail about why your voice is important, why you have to testify, why you support this bill, why you want to do this to approve that bill. Because I never dreamed myself from being a board director from the ARC of Tulsa back in 1990 to the person I am today.
That, James, and you're right. I think maybe other people, but I know I definitely remember Schoolhouse Rock, and that's a slide there. Okay. Well, this slide you titled "A Dream Realized," and I guess we can all take a look at the picture, and we know what one of your career highs was in 2023. You reached a career high. Will you tell us how that happened? Maybe walk us through that day. And there was some drama around this event, and you thought at one point you might have to give up on it. Will you share that with us, please?
Sure, Marcy. It was the American Folk Rehab app. It was their 50th anniversary, and it would be at the White House. I said, "Oh, cool." I thought it'd be only maybe some people from the Senate, some Congress people, but someone told me the president would be there and the vice president. But it was a challenge at first because the government, the senators and representatives, need to approve a spending bill to keep the government open. And the challenge was that Saturday the government wasn't open because they didn't get the appropriation bill passed through yet. And finally, around 10 o'clock Texas time, that we finally got the bill passed, and now everything's back on again. My boss, Cynthia, and my friend Lori, who's a good friend of mine, helped me with my airline ticket for Southwest Airlines. It all came together. We put in the pieces together like a puzzle and worked things out. And I know some of my disability advocate peers were so happy to see me there because they told me, said, "You've been waiting a long time to do this." because some of them know I've been around a long time from my time when I did speeches in Washington, D.C., to work with the President's Committee before I became a board member back in the mid-90s. Some of them were there back then. And it was great because that's what the cherry up top to meet the President of the United States. It's kind of funny because years earlier, I met the two former first kids. One was John F. Kennedy Jr. and Chelsea Clinton at two different times, and it was great to meet them too, because John F. Kennedy's dad was a big space program person, and I liked the aerospace program and his stand on the civil rights movement, and tell how I felt about his dad to him. And of course, it was election year for Hillary was running for president, and Chelsea was going to Lubbock, and we just talked like 5 minutes on that airplane.
Wow, that sounds exciting. So, just share just a little bit more that what made you want to, even though you thought you weren't going to get to go to this 50th anniversary at the White House, but you had people that supported you and that encouraged you. Does that help you to have better expectations for yourself when some of your peers and supporters higher expectations for you?
Yeah, because they want me to go far in my life to reach my ultimate goal in life. Because one of the most important thing is let people go the extra mile. Let us challenge ourselves to reach our hopes and dreams and aspirations for ourselves. Because if you don't let us do that, they will act the same way. But if you push another notch, like Emerald said when he's cooking, because I like Emerald because I like to kick another notch in my life, because if I just have people who really believe me and really help me to grow and let me do that, I could do things like meeting the President of the United States and shake his hand, because then inside me, I have the confidence to do that, the ultimate goal to do that for myself.
Great. Thank you. All right. So now, why great expectations? Why do you think having great expectations is so important for self-advocates, and how does that help in their careers, or how do you hope to support new self-advocate leaders as they come up?
Because we need to encourage people to dreams in themselves, no matter if it's a big dream in life or even a small dream. A small dream in life. Because I'm very lucky that someone took a chance back in 1997 during that I could be a good self-advocacy coordinator in the state of Louisiana. And I decided to take it. I took on myself because at the time I was already hit 30 years old, and I felt like I accomplished a lot of stuff I did in Oklahoma. And I believe that we need to let new people in the movement, because sometimes people ask me, what do I think about self-advocacy? Or as a leader, I try to explain to them and say, I'm not president no more. You need to ask the current president. And sometimes people look at me more than the other people around of other people. They could be leaders too. They could grow. They could dream big. And this is why I decided to challenge myself and to go the extra expectation for myself. And this is why I was a firm believer to gave up my power in Oklahoma to move to Louisiana and let others control what they could do as advocate leaders, their style was maybe be different from mine. That's okay because it's getting the same messages out there. And also to help people to not rely on one person. If you depend on one person to be the president or a local president or a person who's a lead person, if something happened to this person, if they got sick or they pass on, the movement will fall apart because they're not so used to have other people to ask for help or support. This is why I believe a firm believer of mentor other people how to share their vision, their ideals about how to support the movement in the self-advocacy movement.
Very true. And like we talked about, you and I talked about, neither one of us are young whippersnappers anymore. And
No.
we often talk about we should mentor other people to follow and become leaders now, younger ones.
Yeah.
All right. So we're looking at a few other nice pictures of your, day to day and just some fun things you do. But will you talk about some of the mistakes or the challenges that you've faced in your life, and how did you learn from these?
Like, for example, one of the things I learned about is that when I let my guard down of a person who thought I was a friend of them, but instead they took advantage of me by hurting me in a way that I didn't like to harm me as a person been hurt by sexual assault. I learned from it because like I said, I was assaulted as a young teenager back then. But when my last assault happened, this time I was a different person. I got the advocacy skills to stand up against that person. And also it was also because sometimes the pain is big, sometimes it's little mistakes. Like my sexual assault was a big thing for myself because I don't know if I have the support I need from my allies to my colleagues at my job and even my own family because I think they would cause a judgment onto me. But I was very lucky that my aunt, my colleagues, and even my friends who work in the system helped me that they are not judge me. Instead, they help me to grow as a leader, help me to be able to really, really become the person who I am today. And the other great thing was that my family and my cousins and her family was that they really welcomed me in with me a couple of years ago during Christmas. And we spent time together and we got to know each other better. The other great thing was that her and her daughter came to the conference. This was the first time they came to a self-advocacy conference because my cousin, who also a person with an intellectual disability, to learn more about advocacy stuff. And also we enjoyed having fun to watch the Astros game. And this game was we witnessed a no-hitter. And, some of you guys may be baseball fans. It's once a lifetime you witness a no-hitter.
That's exciting. Yeah, very exciting. Yeah. I know you've been close with those cousins since getting to know them, and
yeah,
they are people who believe in, helping their daughter, your cousin, as well as supporting you and realizing whatever it is you want to do to make your life fun and better.
Yeah.